born ready.
Hi friends,
Hey.
This is Reto-moto live from Copenhagen. This is our Devstream 86. I'm Reto.McFly, and with me is Reto.RedBjarne. We're gonna look at a few news, and then we're gonna have a peek into what's happening in 2017 in regards to Heroes and Generals. We are gonna have a bit of Q&A, and well, we're gonna have a giveaway at some point, but not just yet. News first. Well, we entered 2017, you probably noticed that, with all the fireworks going on wherever you live. So
I think it's only in Denmark we have fireworks though.
Oh, well, it's a very dangerous phenomenon.
Didn't they just ban it in Sweden for a few
They
days
probably
ago?
did, yeah. So that's a piece of news, and we had the Christmas contest, the open season on reindeer, where you had to make a kill while in one of the new reconnaissance planes. And we had the presents for, let's see what that is, Heinz, Ivan and Joe. We have found the winners. However, unfortunately, Reto Robotron 3000 has called in sick, and he was the one who knew who the winners were. So we're not going to announce it today, unfortunately, but we're going to cross our fingers that Robotron gets better over the weekend, and we'll have it ready for you early next week. And then we had a war ending. We have that all the time. But this one is interesting, because this one is one of the longest one we have had in about a year, as I've been told.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's about, what, 25 days in real time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also means that a lot of resources were spent.
Did we get the replay for it? Or
Not today, no.
Maybe we should do that next week, then show the replay.
We'll see if we can do that, yeah.
Because sometimes it's nice to see that the fronts really change a lot.
Exactly. And, well, as you can see, Germany, especially Germany, spent a lot of resources not winning. So that's kind of cool that sometimes that happens.
2 billion war funds.
Yeah.
That was an expensive war.
That's a very expensive war, yeah. So that happened, and that's pretty cool. And we had a render test, and yet another render test, actually.
Oh yeah.
On prototype.
I think it's I think most players are asking when can we see the new render? And
Exactly.
So the thing is with the rendering, it's mainly the programming side of the backend code that has been restructured actually to facilitate it. We can do more stuff with the render, and stuff like that is very error prone. Yeah, it depends on people's hardware and machine setups and stuff. So it's and we just simply cannot afford to put something out that's just slightly buggy. So that's why we
actually have a YouTube video of a guy flying around.
Yeah.
It's on your second screen. I can have you bring it up.
If I could see anything on my second screen, it would be super cool.
It's in the browser window over there.
Yep.
And the first one?
Just bring it in here?
Yeah.
Bring it in. Here you go.
And that one.
Doink. No?
See if we can play. There we go. That's from the prototype. That's with the new render.
Yeah. It actually has some new... the post filters and stuff has been tweaked with some better algorithms. So the colors are more vivid and it's more clear. I also think there is a few optimizations, but it's not like a totally new fast renderer.
No.
If people think that it's more like it's a restructuring of the code that makes it easier to maintain and improve on.
Do you have any sense of what it'll actually lend to the game in terms of you as a player when you experience the new render?
I would say very little in the first iteration, but it makes it facilitates that we can move forward with the rendering and for example, implement new lighting models and start to move the rendering part of the game to the next level. So some of these things that are unfortunately necessary to do once in a while when you're working on a live game. Code just needs to be sometimes updated, and it takes a lot of work. It introduces some risk for the players, and they don't really see much change. But here you actually have the post filter has been updated, and it looks a lot nicer, I think.
It's pretty cool. And we've seen some improvement to the FPS on tests
Yeah.
in general. That's good news as well. So we're looking very much forward to bringing this out. But as you said, it's done when it's done.
Yeah, but it's very. This part is very important for us that we don't release it too early because it's. It's just say if 10% of the players can't play the game because of a buggy render, then it's 10%.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good. And when we have already entered the peak into 2017, new render is going to be one thing happening.
Yeah.
Another thing happening is, well, we have a Turkish flag, but we don't need to show it actually. But we are gonna do more languages.
Yeah. I'm not totally sure which languages. We have a whole list of languages that we know we are going to do. In what order, I have no idea.
No.
But it makes sense to localize the game in as many languages as possible. So.
And it's great getting input from new countries and new players.
Oh, yeah. We obviously it's regions where the game is already established that we just feel that there's so many players in this country that it makes sense to provide the game in their own language.
Exactly. Cool. And we're also gonna we're gonna have quite a few more events and contests. Like the Halo War. Could bring up the Halo War photo just because I think it's pretty cool.
Halo War. Hello War.
Halo War. This was Reto.RedBjarne who did that picture, and I think it's really cool. But we're gonna do more of these events. Halo War. We're gonna do some Christmas stuff next year. We're gonna do the World Hello Day again. So that's cool stuff going on. We're working on making them more exciting for you guys to take part in and more engaging. Well, I can't disclose which events we're going to do yet, but there is going to be an event in 8, 9, 10 days. There's going to be a nice little event. Tied into a lot of these events, we are also going to do some sales on different stuff. Simply to make it, more fun to be a Heroes and Generals player. Yeah. And we're going to do more frequent updates, I'm told.
Yeah, I think our plan is to increase the rate of updates. I've been asked to tell a little bit about this, but it's in reality I'm not really sure how specific we can talk about it. But it's going to be a mixture of, we call it like major updates and minor updates.
Yeah.
But we would like to get. We have right now when we update the game, it's usually quite big updates, and some of the stuff that we put into each update kind of get lost. So we would rather chop it up in smaller updates that can come more frequently, obviously. So that's what we are aiming for in this year, 17. More updates, maybe not like super huge updates. There will be obviously what you have seen last year's some major updates, and then we're just going to separate out some of the minor updates.
Now I can probably change that. Yeah, I'm just going to pull up another image of the wrench, and that's not new for 2017. It's pretty much in the game already.
Yeah, I think some of the more game-related features that we are looking into is supporting more teamwork-based features rather than just a new gun. We're going to look into what features can we bring to the game that makes teammates play more together. And obviously we show the wrench because that's a great example of an item you can bring to the battle that actually obviously you can repair your own tank with it, but you can also repair your friend's tanks. And it's very useful to always have one guy that has a wrench in your squad, simply just because you can repair your tank or your vehicle. So more stuff like in that area, I think is what you will see. rather than just more guns. Obviously, more guns is something that we would add as well, but it would feel that it improves the game in a better way when we introduce features like this, rather than just...
Yeah, because one of your major issues is that Heroes and Generals is not only about killing the enemy, but
it's about it's broader than that.
Exactly.
In what you're supposed to do, and we would really like to try and emphasize as much of this playing in a team as possible, and some of these tools facilitate that.
So new stuff is gonna happen with that.
Yeah,
that's cool. We have more new stuff coming in 2017, but before we go to that, actually, I think we're gonna do the giveaway now.
Okay.
Just for the fun of it, and
great.
Hooray!
I can't guess that people watching out there has an idea what to do.
Remember, it's only on...
But exclamation mark gold, and you take part in that. Just need to press
and what do we do?
Start giveaway.
So exclamation mark gold.
Exclamation mark gold brings you
Now
into the contest. Yeah, and we should remember that we are streaming on Facebook as well, which is cool. But the giveaway system doesn't work on Facebook; it only works on Twitch. I'm sorry for that, but that's the fact of
Little
Facebook.
advertising for Twitch here.
We can't do other than that. But you can see, people like the gold,
Oh yeah. Obviously they do.
of course.
Kan du trække den over på den anden skærm?
Let's pull it over here so we can see it.
Yeah.
There we go. And we're just gonna give it a little bit more, I think. And breathe.
Still people who play buying gold.
They are definitely. I think we're about there. Should we say that's it? I think so. So
3, 2, 1. Stop!
And pick a winner.
Maschinengevær
42.
42.
Machine Gewehr 42. You need to grab a hold of Reto_Splixen.
Write something.
Or write something in the chat and he'll grab a hold of you.
Yay! Cool.
Cool. Great.
Congratulations, Mr. Maschinengevær.
Reto-Splixen will set you up with some gold. And we can continue
What the fuck?
our peek into 2017.
I'm just trying to figure out what just happened over here. But, okay.
Great. We can continue on, and hopefully.
MG42 over OP.
What we're gonna look at is, well, it's not that plane, but we are gonna look at something that flies.
Yeah.
We had some cool stuff to show.
Just as you might have noticed, we are starting down the aircraft path.
Yeah.
And I can show you a bit of some of the. It's not, you could say, plans. It's more like our direction of where we are looking to go.
Yeah.
This is the tank ribbons as they are currently in the game. And you can see, we have last year and the year before actually started to fill in all the gaps in the tank lineup. There's still a few holes in the tank gameplay, in tank ribbon here, but we feel that we should shift our focus to some of the other areas in the game in order to justify that we add more tanks into the game. I think the tank gameplay just needs to be a bit more refined.
Yeah.
So while we work on refining the tank gameplay, we are going to take a look at some of the other vehicle classes in the game. And obviously, as you can see down here, we have the aircraft.
So I can see the new reconnaissance.
The reconnaissance ones
plane.
are in here at level 0, and then we have our fighter planes here. So we are going to focus on the next the next year to see how much we can fill in this.
So you're gonna fill in all of this in 2017?
Not all of it.
No.
All of it. As you can see, here up in the top, I've shown that the aircrafts come in different classes as well. So we are going to add more classes of the aircraft. Right now we only have the reconnaissance and the fighters. As you remember, before we introduced the 3 new aircraft, the reconnaissance aircraft assault team was only just a small version of the fighter squadron.
Yeah.
Now we actually have some unique planes we can put into that category, so we actually separated them out. When we move forward, we will introduce more classes of planes that has more specific roles in the game, and we're going to expand in the already established classes. So, for example, the fighter class will get more fighters. So you can have your tier 1 and tier 2 fighters or tier 3 fighters. So you have more fighters within the same class, just as you know from the tanks where you have more medium tanks.
Yeah.
One of the things that we would very much like to bring into the game early on, when I talked about refining the game, it's also about making it more clear what role a specific aircraft or tank have.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you can. It's not enough to just in the medium class of tanks, for example. It's not enough to just own the if you're a German player, the Panther. It would make sense that if you have the Panther 4 and the Panther 3 as well, because they would show up as they're useful sometimes as well. So it makes sense to have all of them basically. And that's kind of like also just to get all the cool tanks in play. So it's not just all the top tier ones. And we're going to do the same thing with the aircraft. Obviously, that
one might notice that the 3 existing planes are not in the same tier.
Oh yeah, that's just a small thing. We are already starting to divide up the fighters into. You can see the American fighter is actually not a normal fighter; it's a heavy fighter.
Yeah.
So and that is something that's going to be. We're going to divide those classes up into different roles. And in the action game where you dogfight and stuff, the differences might not be too obvious, but where the fighters, we can take this as an example, the difference between the fighters and the heavy fighters primarily is the combat range.
Yeah.
So you would see the difference in the strategy game. The heavy fighters just simply have a lot longer reach. They're used would be used to escorting bombers and super heavy aircraft, so they need a long range. Where the normal fighters are more like interceptors or pursuit aircraft. So that's obviously something that when we're adding this stuff, it needs to play into the strategy game as well. So we every time we add a new class into the game, we're looking into facilitating it from the strategy game as well. So that also brings up the question, obviously, when you can see that we have quite a lot of aircraft coming up here. Obviously, it's not going to be a year of only planes.
No.
On the receiving end of the planes, bombs and bullets, you have your anti-aircraft guns. And personally, I would really like us to give that part of the game a bit more focus, because we need the AA guns to be more deadly, and we need them to play a bigger role in the game. A lot of our hardcore players will have been annoyed that we have, for example, you see the resources that our mobile AA guns use the same resource as our half tracks.
Yeah.
That is simply due to a limitation in the strategy game, where we can't, as it is now, one of the things we're working on updating is the ability for AA guns to actually function properly as shooting down planes, rather than just being a trigger of battles. Once that's fixed, then the AA guns will be their own resources, and it will make sense for general to actually have AA guns in their assault teams, simply because that enemy fighters will be super dangerous.
But you might want to stress, though, that these are long-term plans.
This is
It's not going to happen tomorrow.
When I speak, this is all about the direction and our focus on what we're working on. If you want specific dates and stuff, you have to talk to our producer.
He'll appreciate that. We'll post his email at the end.
Yeah, but it just makes sense. There's some mechanics here that we need to get updated in order to facilitate that Heroes and Generals can expand in be a more broad game than it currently is. So we can add more vehicles and more. I think one of the things that are great with this with the concept is that we can add all sorts of special vehicles that doesn't really fit into like a pure like head-to-head battle game, because we have the tactics in it as well. We have the strategy background in it, so it actually makes sense to have some of the more odd vehicles. On a very long term, obviously, we you will say artillery and stuff like that will get into this game as well. But first of all, I think pushing the direction with the aircraft, that will bring up the A gun focus. And once you have A guns that works in the strategy game, you can bring in the heavy A guns as well. So you have your lovely 88s in the game suddenly. Might not be something that works in the action game, but it will still be present in the game as something that is useful. It could be simply just a bombing target, for example.
We actually promised the viewers to do a bit of Q&A.
Yeah.
And we are happy to take questions on planes. So if you have any, then please post them in the chat. Possibly mark them with question first, so we can easily see what you're asking. And while we wait, I can imagine one of the questions coming would be, what about those plane controls?
The plane controls, well, as our viewers might have noticed, we usually focus on getting features out on live. Instead of having the full package, we just go with what is currently finished, and then we release it. And it was important for us to just get the ball rolling on the aircraft, getting the new aircraft in, getting them out there. We did some tweaks to the old controls. We're going to tweak those further, but we have also worked on obviously new controls. It is our ambition to make flying an aircraft is difficult. Yeah. It's much more difficult than driving a tank, for example. So there needs to be a lot of work going into the control schemes of the aircraft, and we are definitely not home yet with that part of the game, and that is something that is being worked on. But
we are actually introducing a new, simpler control scheme.
Yeah, actually two. Actually two. It's two variants of the same kind of like philosophy. So now you can actually choose between 3 different control schemes.
And a lot of the work that went into that was actually feedback from the players.
Yeah. I think also one of the things we're looking into is we when we test the game, the plane gameplay here, we have obviously bots so you can start up the game and just fly around and shoot and add some computer controlled aircraft. And we're looking into how can we get those into the game in a way that actually makes sense. So new pilots can start up a battle and just shoot bots instead of real players. So I think it's a good place to start, because flying is difficult, and getting in you're just getting thrown into the deep water in the beginning. So I think that's a good way to start to introduce.
A question from what's his name, Reto KFG. That's his name. Yeah, asking about joystick or controller support.
We have this. I think controller support is definitely something that should be possible. I have again no idea where that sits priority-wise on in the production plan. Joystick support it's a different story. Simply because joysticks is, when you look at it, I think I've actually said this a few times before. Market-wise, it's such a small part of the players who actually have a decent joystick that it's simply not feasible to spend the time and money to make joystick support. You must remember, once we introduce joystick support for one joystick, we have to support them all, and there's a lot of different joysticks. Yeah. And it just puts a lot of stress on our support, and we have to maintain that joystick code. So I think we would probably just go with the controllers. Yeah.
Cool.
And on the other hand, it's not our ambition to make a flight simulator. So we don't really have the need for I love those joysticks with all the buttons and all that stuff. That's really cool. But I think if that's what you're after, like a simulator, it's Sturmovik for you,
Possibly, yeah.
and not Heroes and Generals.
And Knife Shark's asking, are there plans for adding only air skirmishes as well?
It's I have to be careful when you ask about plans. I would rather say ambitions.
Let's do that then.
Obviously, yes.
Yes.
Air only
Ambitions for
skirmishes would be just awesome, and that's what I said before, that we are discussing how to bring in our bots into matches.
But again, that's very future speak.
Yeah, that's I can't say any specific dates on that stuff yet, but that's at least our ambition to start with, bring in the co-op style dogfighting. I'd say before we can have air skirmishes in the game, we need to be able to have an update on the campaign game. In order to trigger the air battles, and right now our system is not really feasible for. It sounds crazy, but it's really hard to detect aircraft assault teams that are close to each other. So we can't really trigger the air matches in a logical way. We could do something where if two assault teams are present in the same battle, we could just spawn a whole separate battle, but that might not be what the generals actually want. No. So in order to do it the correct way, we need some time with the war server, and the programming part of that needs to be updated. But yes, it definitely something that we're looking into doing.
Cool. Flinny 1201 is asking, will you take some ideas for veteran pilots for plane turning, bullet speeds, etc.? Because you guys have said that that you guys don't have really good pilots at Reto. So let's cut to the actual question.
Yeah.
Do Reto developers suck at flying planes?
Oh yeah, we suck at everything.
However, our core testers, or even there's I'm the flying car.
Yeah.
Visited the Devstream.
It's very obviously. It's one of those questions where, as I said before, flying is hard in the first place. And obviously, we like to get feedback from the guys that are really good at flying, because that's some feedback. But our ambition is to make flying easier for people who don't know how to fly. So it's kind of like there's a lot of suggestions that are very, very specific on how the game works. This is how it works in the real life. We want super details. That might not be what a new player would like, because you don't know how it works. So it would actually make the game harder for you. I say one example could be the normally on an attack aircraft you would align the guns so that if you have like multiple guns on the wings, you would align them so they cross over at a certain distance, and the pilot would know when he's flying, if this plane fits within this bracket in my sights, he's at that distance where my guns are aligned to, so when I fire here, I get multiple hits rather than just one hit. Stuff like that, we have the code to do it, but it would be really hard for us as it is now to describe to the player that is what actually happens. For new players, they will just know that the bullet flies straight out of the plane, and if we start to mess with those angles, they wouldn't know why the bullets go like this instead. Yeah, that's one example of something that's very, very technical. But did I answer the question correctly, or he said
basically
turning bullet speeds?
Yeah.
Planes. It's a comment.
Basically,
I said bullet turning. What?
But we do appreciate feedback.
Yes.
And our forums are very good for that.
Yeah.
And we do read them. Developers do read.
Yeah, I think we should just be better at telling the players that once we release some new stuff, we definitely follow up on it, and we read all the feedback, and we make decisions on what needs to be changed and what needs to be tweaked based on how the plane or how the game actually plays. It's just with a game in this scale, with so many different players, and just the fact that we need to fill up the servers with 36 players, and we need to do it a lot of times, that makes it really, really hard to actually get decent feedback data on a test setup. So the best solution is actually to release something that we say, this is okay. It doesn't completely destroy the game, and we can live with it until the next update, where we have the chance to see what actually has are the downsides, that we can fix it. That is just the nature of a live product, is that it's alive, and you don't know, you basically don't know what's going to happen until you put the next update up on live. We have all the best intentions of securing that we don't do bad stuff, but it's really, really hard to predict.
We're going to do last question from Filipaster, who asks if there's going to be changes to the speed values or controls. So, will a faster or maybe skill-based reloading mechanic be added for the planes? Skill-based reloading, I have a really hard time seeing how that would work. But obviously, with all these new planes comes a whole bunch of new combat badges as well that will play into the specific areas of the plane handling. Yeah. So you, with the combat badges, will be able to tweak your pilot's ability in certain directions. If you want faster reloads on your cannons, for example, you would wear the faster reload on cannon badge rather than your flak jacket. So more badges is being developed right now, so we can have more choices for the player. If you feel that if fast reload is something that you think you need in your play style, then you might take on a badge that promotes that. If it's not important for you, you choose another badge. Exactly. Cool. Enough about planes and stuff flying for now, at least.
No more planes.
But I'm told you brought something along. That I know a lot of players have been asking for.
Yeah, I've been.
A lot of time.
People have been screaming for new maps for ages, and I just like to show a little bit about what we're working on here with the new maps. 2017 will be the year of new maps. I'm going to show tests on 2 maps we're working on, just to tell a little bit about how we work on the maps. I know Deshi will be on a later
point,
a later stream and go into detail about what his thoughts about the specific design on the maps.
Go really into nerd about the maps when they're actually ready.
Exactly. So I'm just going to show you a little bit and tell a little bit roughly about what's going on here. Let me see if I can. Which map should I start up first? I'll start with the
least one.
The one
least one.
Yeah, here we go. This one. This one is this map is actually only one step from the paper design. The maps are built in a way where we first of all we decide what should the map do, what game mode should it be, and then the level designer will sit down and make a short, a simple diagram of how should the flow be on the map, where do you start, where, and it looks almost like a little electrical circuit board thingy, and from there on he starts to flesh it out on a 2D map to see where is there going to be a river or islands and mountains and stuff like that. And when that's sort of like in place, obviously we have a few reviews on it along the way. We bring it to us and we say, oh, this is cool, maybe you should do this and this and this, and you change it. And once that the overall design is approved, then we start to block it out, it's called. And a block out is basically just the rough terrain with the the geometry needed in order to make the gameplay happen.
Yeah. And that's what this is.
This is a block out of a level that's or a map, one of the new maps. As you'll see, you can see the
camera.
easy here.
You're making the motions.
You'll see that this is a citadel from some of our Russian players will probably recognize it's based on a Russian
It's
castle.
not
Russian.
free imagination. It's actual.
It's actually based on a castle, very famous castle in Russia, in Brest.
That's what does actually looking upon real life structures such as this. What does that bring to you as game designers?
A lot. Actually, it first of all it brings it makes you play stuff in a way on a map that it feels natural. There's some even have philosophies about the level design you should have level design on existing city maps, for example, because the roads and the buildings will actually be placed where you would expect them to be as a player. But that's a whole other discussion. But it's actually good to base it on something real, because the people who built this fortress, they have thought about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we don't need to rethink a lot of stuff just by looking at their stuff. We get a lot of cool ideas.
So you're saying you basically don't have an ambition of being a fort builder as such?
No, but it's yeah, I love looking into architecture and stuff. So there's there's always a lot of interesting details to look at. But it's also just nice to look at what looking into a structure like this could bring to the game. One thing you'd notice here, for example, is that this being a fortress, you'd see that the windows, the walls, for example, you see how thick the walls are.
Yeah.
You would not have that thick walls like this on a normal house. It needs to be able to withstand a lot of gunfire. And you'll also see that contrary to normal buildings, the windows are actually quite recessed.
Yeah.
Instead of a normal building, you would have the windows out here because that would preserve heat and stuff like that. But here it's actually to prevent you from shooting through the window unless you are perfectly aligned. So lots of details like that are interesting. You also see that the outer walls are way thicker than the inner walls that you have here, which also makes sense. And all of these things you have to take into consideration when building the map. You'll see this is all white when this block actually the map here has come to a point now where Deshi can start to put in on some colors. It needs colors because just playing the game in pure white, that doesn't really give you the
that's not a future look of yours.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
And you will actually, because the characters will be very contrasted, so they'll be easy to spot on the white. Obviously, he'll darken down some of the walls, and some of them might be white because it makes sense that some of the gun positions here, sniping positions, he wants to be like an exposed place, so he might actually leave the walls white inside, so you'll be able to spot if there's a shooter up there, or if it has to be a very good sniping position, it should be dark inside. Yeah. So right now it's more. He's come to the point where this is all about measurements, and he will just walk around with the character and look. Can I see this door from this window and stuff like that? The next step for this map would be to try and get some playtesting on it. Simply just to start measuring distances, because that's one of the first thing you start to look in is the deploy area. Is that too far away, or is it too close? Stuff like that. It's nice to get that stuff sorted out in the beginning. You see, this map has actually it has 3 entrances. The whole citadel here is on an island. I think the fortress it's built based on is actually a huge one. It has like a citadel in the middle, and then it has like a huge moat thing around it, and walls, secondary walls and stuff. Probably gonna do all that stuff for an assault map instead, because that's very, very big. But this one is just focusing on the inside of this fortress. You'll see that there's different entrances. So I think Deshi told me that these two entrances right now are the same. So he's not totally finished with it yet. Obviously, these two entrances actually need to be different in order for players to be able to quickly identify where am I? Is it entrance A or B? Sometimes you can do it just by coloring it red or blue entrance. But here we actually have some reference for different structure type. I think there's a tower on one of them or something like that.
You might mention though that doing maps based on real life structure doesn't mean that you as developers suddenly have a very large travel budget to go.
No. Actually, we're working on engaging community members into actually facilitating us with the photo reference on some of the buildings and areas that we would like to recreate in the game.
Actually, it's part of.
Asking what game mode this is intended.
What game mode?
This is intended to be an encounter game mode, which is. I'm really looking forward to play this map because there's going to be a lot of gameplay in these corridors inside the. Check out this area where you have you can see there's 2 floors, and you can see down on the first floor from in here. There's going to be some broken rubble and stuff in here. So, and you're going to be able to fight all the way inside the circle. I think the entire capture area will be the whole citadel here. So. Yes, it's going to be...
It's going to be cool.
Yeah, interesting. It's a huge map for an encounter map, but...
and we actually have more than one map
today.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about the...
Yeah, I'm going to do that while I get you to load up the next one. Because the help that we need from you players is actually already in works. It's called Reto Reconnaissance Regiment. And you can find more info on it on our forums, where you can apply to take part and help us. And it's a lot about doing research, finding photo references, and helping out the developers creating really cool maps that looks like real stuff. So if you're really good at googling stuff, or you really know a lot of stuff about World War II, or simply just want to help out, have a look in the forums for the Reto Reconnaissance Regiment.
Yeah.
Or RRR, as we also are calling it. You can add pirate to taste. This one is...
Okay, this is... I think we actually showed this a long time ago when it wasn't as far as it is now. This is also... this is a skirmish map. Has a bit more houses and a bit more graphics on it. You notice that for example, the trees still need some textures. I think this has some. You can see here. It has some placeholder stuff on it.
Yeah.
So, but this is also one of those we're working on. We work in parallel on some of the maps because there's different steps involved in creating the maps. The fortress map you saw before. Is now what we call a blockout map mesh. That means that the entire building is probably just one big mesh.
Yeah.
That one needs to be taken in and all the measurements and everything needs to be corrected, and it needs to be chopped up into modules. So the whole citadel will be built out of tiny modules. So if you wanted to change something on the wall, we only need to do it on one bit rather than doing on the entire building. I can show you, and then obviously when that ends, that process of chopping up the building into modules, when that's ended, we have what we call a design model. It still doesn't have textures. It might have colors on it that sort of like replicate what should it roughly look like.
Yeah.
When that's in, we can actually start to check collisions and gameplay related stuff. We can start to build. If the whole idea about building stuff out of modules is to be able to produce different buildings using the same modules. So once the modules are in place, we can, for example, with the Citadel you saw for the fortress, we can maybe do 2 or 3 other forts using the same modules. But we need to start somewhere.
Exactly.
So that's the process for the fort, is to actually chop it up and be able to produce some more forts. On this map, I have a model that I've been working a little bit on that's a bit further, but where it actually has gotten to the design model part. You see here, some might have seen it already, as a church. You see this one has colors and it has a lot more. It's more refined. It's actually it actually consists of the different models. This is ready to be given to a 3D artist now, where the 3D artist would take all of this and start to put textures on it and details and really make it look nice. But we do it this way because right now we can actually start tweaking the map. We can start working on the level design.
Because doing a map is not. I joked with you earlier today that doing a map is like placing 4 trees and some shrubbery on a flat surface and then calling it a map. Or it's a bit more to it than that.
Some people might be surprised how much work goes into constructing all these things, mainly because it has to fit together and it has to be the correct measurements, and you don't want to be making the same piece of artwork several times. You want to be able to modulate it. This church, these bits that this church is made out of, should enable us to create 2 or 3 different churches of various sizes, which is great. So let's see, I'm in the big tower. There's going to be some nice sniping positions here. I can already hear people screaming, HE incoming, or nade spam or so. But that's kind of like one of the dangers of sitting exposed up in the tower, is that everybody else knows where you are.
Actually, we're not gonna stop you at all. I'm just gonna say that we are also willing to take questions on maps. So if you have any questions relating to these 2 new maps or maps in general, please feel free to post them in the comments, and then we'll try to answer a few of them. In the meanwhile, let's go a bit more to church.
I really love these Russian Orthodox churches. You see here some yellow blockouts here. That is called the iconostasis. It's actually a big ornamental wall made out of. It's actually, the Russian icons, those nice paintings. It's a huge wall built out of that stuff that covers all the it actually separates the sanctuary from the nave in the church. We don't have that here in Western Europe. That we do things differently inside churches. It's just a little detail. So, and I totally like the coloring as well of this, the blue and white. They also have the ones churches, that's white churches with the green roofs and stuff. So I'm really looking into doing these parts of the game.
You had a nice detail.
There. Some of the places when you try to get up in the church tower, you have to crouch to get under it. Maybe some of our Russian players can tell us what actually says on that sign.
Actually, I think our Russian moderator, Steam Genius, can tell us, because he's the one who provided the text.
I hope it was the right one I used, because my Russian isn't.
So Stone 2 Man even, is asking, will the castle map be a 3-way map?
Because the castle is an encounter map, it will not be a 3-way map. But we are going to reuse the Citadel with for a much larger assault map, which will be a 3-way map, obviously. So not the first instance, but as I told before, it makes sense for us to make all these modules, because then we can produce a few more maps with the same structures on it, just arranged differently, and a lot bigger one.
Just got cool. We have Jorian asking, will there be objects to interact with, like doors?
We have decided not to have doors in the game. I know. I think it's Counter-Strike that have doors, right, where you can open and close them. Simply because we haven't gotten around to having any use for them actually. But it wouldn't make it would be easy to do. A door that opens and closes. I'm not really. So it's not something that we're planning on doing because we haven't got any use. We haven't any cases where it makes sense for us to do it yet.
So Silverlake is asking, what are your plans with assault maps?
I think I've just said that all this stuff you've just seen on these maps is going to obviously play into a larger assault map on what would be a Russian-style terrain. Usually, and for that we would need obviously an airfield and a factory and some sort of village thing, and we're going to do the fort as the big assault map for this terrain type. So that's kind of like the. I think we also need another factory map for the Northern Europe terrain. So there is going to be a few more assault maps, for sure.
Cool.
Actually, what we would like before the launch of the game around the summer, we were actually on our way to make all like this new maps, but the whole changing of the game modes and the new spawn protection and all that stuff that just ate up so many resources internally that we had to postpone the whole new maps exercise in order to get the other things out. Which I think is good because in that process we also updated the whole pipeline so we can actually make maps faster. Obviously we are going to look into making them prettier as well. So it's not going to be only faster, it's also going to be more details, more new graphics, new artwork in the game so we don't reuse the same house over and over again. We actually produce some new content.
We have Mining Chief 117 asking, are you going to consider developing German-style cities such as Berlin?
The city maps is one thing that's we're getting asked a lot, and it makes sense for us to make city maps. It's just a different pipeline that we have now, where the current maps are based on terrains with clusters of houses and objects. A city would have to be constructed in a different way. And we haven't really gotten into refining that system for doing that yet. So we'd rather develop that system in order to produce like larger cities instead of just mocking stuff up. Because then we would be going in a direction where we could create a huge city, but it would be really hard for us to update it. And the next city we produce would take as much time as the first one. So we need a better foundation in order to produce the city maps.
So city map goes into that's ambition.
Yeah, that's
not going to happen this year.
Not. Maybe we are looking into making some prototype stuff to see how can we make a modular system to create cities so we can have a lot of cities. It would be nice to have, for example, most a lot of the big cities, at least in Western Europe, use roughly the same architectural styles, and there's a few buildings that are like key buildings that make you recognize it as being a specific city. And it would be nice to be able to create some of the larger cities as city maps rather than French villages. But it requires some more work, and we decided that a third terrain type map was easier for us to make than whole new cities in the first run.
Cool.
But it's obviously the ambition to do it. There's also other things that we need to take into consideration is that planes, for example, if you create a city where obviously we cannot create the whole of Berlin, that would be insane. It would be a huge map.
Fun, but insane.
Yeah. So going in a section of a city that would those maps wouldn't involve planes, for example, because they would be too small, basically. And you could say, would it even involve the tanks? Tanks are very vulnerable in cities, so it might just be recons and infantry maps that goes into the city. Who knows?
See, I think we're gonna do. Looking at time, we're gonna do one last question. It's gonna be from Life Shark. who's asking, did you ever think about adding destroyable blockades or breakthroughs to add new entrances into buildings?
Yeah, it's just super hard to do with our current system because our current system can obviously we can make, if you hit this wall, it will break and we'll replace it with a hole. But we would have to do it we would have to do it specifically for all the different parts that you have to break, which would be kind of like a nightmare, and it wouldn't really make the game any better. So we haven't done that yet. We need a better modulated destruction system in order to do that, basically. Also, that's always been the good old argument that just leveling an entire city before you play the level would ruin a lot of the level design. So it's not as easy as just having something that breaks. You might end up changing the whole layout of the level and make it not fun to play, for example. So
I couldn't have that.
Yeah, but also if you start to go down that road, once you can break one wall, you would expect that you can break all the walls in the game, and so it's kind of like it's a big step to do. So that's why we haven't done it.
Great. Basically, we gonna have you walking a bit more around on the map while I finish off for today. A little bit at least. We had a RBS challenge that just finished about planes, epic, funny and fail videos. You can see those on our website, they're all up there. But we had, just to sum up, the winners were Seti and Jeku did the cool epic video, Adway did the funny video, and then David did a very cool fail video. They're all on heroesandgenerals.com, so please stop by and have a look at them. And we have a new challenge currently running, actually. Deadline for that challenge is January 11th, and the theme is New Year's. And the thing that goes with New Year's is explosion. So we basically want you to blow stuff up and do cool videos. Again, remembering to adding epic, funny, or fail to the title of your video. All the instructions for how to take part in the RBS challenge, again, is on our website, heroesandgenerals.com. So go have a look there. And that's about it. So, are we going to host anybody? Game of Duels? Yeah, there we are. When we're done here, please don't go away, because we're going to host Game of Duels. Who's going to play Heroes and Generals? Big surprise. We're looking forward to that. And to recap what we did today, we talked a little bit about the few news we had, and we gave you a peek, hopefully a little peek, into what's going to happen in Heroes and Generals 2017. We're going to add more planes. We're going to add new maps, as the one you're watching at the moment. You can follow this Twitch channel, and there's supposed to be something to follow above Jacob's head.
Oh,
Can't see it, but yeah. It's there. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Steam, and, as I said a few times, on heroesandgenerals.com. We will be back with the next Devstream on January 20th, where we will talk about the content of our next update. So please come back, and we'll show you all the new stuff that's going into the next update. For now, have a great weekend, and we'll see you in game, making a difference and fighting for your friends. Thank you.
See ya.